everybody, and welcome back to Principles of Game Design. This video is about preventing and fixing some mistakes that we might run into while we're modeling, as well as building up a unique die. So to start with, I have this die that we built in the previous episode, except, oh no, I've accidentally made some mistakes. So if we rotate around this die, we can see that I have a 3, a 5, a 6 face, and then another 5 face. Oh dear. Which means we'll need to fix one. So let's very quickly do that. Luckily we know that opposite the 5 face needs to be a 2 face, so I can come in here and select these extra pips and delete them. So I'm just going to select those faces and delete them. And then I also need to delete these walls. So if I zoom in, I can double click this to get the whole loop. Select one face, double click its neighbor, select one face, double click its neighbor, and I get all of those loops. If you want to make sure that you have them all selected, you can also hit the 4 key, as we mentioned at the end of the last episode, and make sure that we can see through it, and select those faces, and delete them. Good. Now we need to swap back to the 5 view so that we can keep working, and now we have these holes that are punched into our model. To fix those, we're going to go to Edge Select, double click one of those edges on the holes, and we're going to use our Bridge tool, which is next to our Extrude tool up top, or down here under our Extrude tool in the modeling toolkit. And the Bridge tool will plug up that hole nice and pretty for us. Good. So now we have a 2 face, and we have a 5 face. Let's make sure that everything's alright. I'm going to go to my smooth preview, and I'm going to rotate around my dice one more time. Oh dear, it looks like we have extra faces for some reason. Let's zoom in and take a closer look. I'm going to start down here. So it looks like we have these 4 faces, and this face in the middle, which don't make sense. Let's go back to our 1 view and see what's going on. Well, that's strange. We only have the 1 face selected. But when I go to Smooth Preview, it appears back again. This is what's known as an extrusion error. So, sometimes you might accidentally select a face and extrude it, and then forget about it. If you do that, you will accidentally create this extra ring of faces, and we need to fix this as well. So, we can simply go to our Smooth Preview and select our faces here, and delete them. Then go back to our 1 view, double click our edges, and bridge them back together. And that will fix that issue. Let's go ahead and also do that over here. Select the faces that we should not have, delete them, go back to our 1 view, and select our because these 2 extrusions are next to each other, when we attempt to hit our Bridge tool, Maya gives us an error. That's because this vertex is connected to both holes, so when we double click, we don't get a pretty selection. If you ever run into this issue, simply select 2 opposite edges and use the Bridge tool. Again, 2 opposite edges and bridge. Now we're going to pop into Smooth Preview, and we can see that it's still wrong. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to delete the 4 faces, and then bridge the hole. Hit Smooth Preview, make sure that nothing's broken. Good. And then bridge this large hole. Bridge. And now we've created this large patch. And when I hit Smooth Preview, you'll notice that it creates this really weird star shape. This is what's known as an n-gon. Any face that has more than 4 edges is an n-gon. Pentagons, hexagons, heptagons, etc., all of those are n-gons. But we don't really want them on our model because it messes with edge flow, so we're going to go ahead and fix it. And in order to do that, we need our multi-cut tool. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag until my multi-cut tool snaps to a vertex, and then click and drag on the opposite vertex to patch up that n-gon. Same thing along the bottom until it looks perfectly fine, and we can hit our smooth preview, and it goes back to normal. Let's also say that we decide that we want to bevel our object instead of fencing it. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of my fences and delete them. Now what I've done is selected all of my fences and hit the delete key, but if you've done something similar, you've just made a mistake. Because if I hit my smooth preview, you might notice that some of my edges are strangely wrinkly and bumpy instead of being perfectly straight. The reason for this is if I go to my vertex select, we can see a bunch of little purple dots in the middle of nowhere. These are extra vertexes caused when we deleted those fencing edges. So if I hit undo, you'll notice that the fencing edges cut straight through those vertexes. If I redo my deletion, then those vertexes are left behind, and they can cause serious issues. For instance, if I now try to re-fence my object, and I hold Ctrl, you'll notice that it doesn't cut cleanly across my model anymore, and gets stopped by the extra vertexes. In order to prevent this, when you are deleting edges, always hold Ctrl Delete, and that will get rid of all of those extra vertexes. Alright, let's talk about the unique die. In addition to the simple die we built last episode, you're being tasked to build a unique 6-sided dice. If you follow the ArtStation link posted throughout Module 1, you'll be taken to a gallery featuring past student work, which you can use for inspiration. These are all simple and unique 6-sided dice built by past students. The purpose of the project is simply to let you have fun with the tools and practice using them in a way that you find interesting. So for instance, if we go back to our simple die, maybe you decide that the one face is looking a bit boring. So let's go ahead and spruce it up, select some of these faces, maybe we'll make the one pip a little larger, and maybe we'll add a little ring around it so that it stands out more. We'll go ahead and extrude that in, and we'll need to re-fence this, but if we just smooth it for now, we can see that it's a little bit more interesting than the boring one-sided pip that we had previously. We'd encourage you to do something fun and interesting to every side, or build a unique die from scratch. Just have fun exploring the tools and practicing with them. Once you're finished, you'll also need to get a screen snip of your unique die, same thing we did last episode, as well as a unique screen snip of the alt wireframe. Once you've done both of those, you'll need to post all 4 of your images, both the unique die, shaded and wireframe, and the simple die, shaded and wireframe, to the discussion post. Alright, that's it for now, and join me next week where we will be starting our next project.